Hey everybody, this is Timothy Gay back with another review. This time it's Outpost Siberia, game by Jonathan Gilmour and Daryl Andrews, IDW Games. It's a little deck of cards game, cooperative, plays 2 to 6 players. Um, so basically in this game, you're a team of explorers who have been trapped in their outpost by a bad storm, and you have limited supplies, and all of a sudden these monsters are starting to invade. Um, and I've actually been playing this game a lot solo with 2 of the explorer heroes, but there's 6 different ones you can choose from. They all have different powers, different health stats based on the ability, and you can use your ability between turns on different people's turns to do different things. We got these little health trackers here. Some have 4 life, and as you take damage, it gets lower and lower. If anyone dies in the game at any time, game ends and you lose. That's one way to lose, and we'll get into the other way in a second. But basically, you have, at the beginning of the game, you assemble an expedition deck and an outpost deck. The outpost is your supplies that you're going to be using. And the expedition are the threats that you're going to encounter. And so the idea is you're going to use these tools to kill the things in here, and when you've killed the things, you get to add them for better abilities and things like that into your tools. So you're kind of a slow deck builder. But let's just take a look here at some things. So this is something you might encounter. This is a monster. If you look at the card, he has an attack and health and an ability. You're also going to encounter bad events. You'll have to pay whatever that is that says food, and then this happens. Then there's also good events, which you also have to pay for, and usually those are helpful. So at the beginning of the game when you're setting up, I'm doing very, very easy mode, which is actually a newly released mode, because this game is incredibly hard. But what we did was we took the stack of monsters and added 8 of the good events, 4 of the bad events, and then took 6 of the random monsters and threw them over here in the leftover good, bad events, and that made our outpost deck. So let's just go ahead and do a couple sample turns, and that might give you an idea how the game works. So to start the game, each player on very easy mode, this isn't in the rule book, but it's going to be in the future editions, gets 1 random card to start with. And the cards kind of show you how we're going to be using them. You'll see that it's a monster on one side, and then on the other side it's got something that we're going to use. So here, Survivalist Dana is going to start with a 3 strike. Don't worry about the water or anything like that for this. All that matters is we have a 3 strike in our hand to battle monsters from the expedition deck. So, let's say it's Dana's turn, and you can pick the order of the turn, whoever you want to go first, and there's strategy in that. And that's one of the coolest parts, is deciding who's going to venture out and have to fight, because remember, as soon as somebody dies, the game ends, so you got to be careful who goes in and all that kind of stuff. So what we do with the super very easy rules is, instead of drawing 2, we're going to draw 3. This is the way I recommend you play, for sure, because like I said, it's very hard. So what we do with these 3 cards, we're going to pick one to go into our hand, and remember, in our hand all we care about is the strike. So probably in this case I'll take the high strike here. Sometimes the high strike's not what you want though, because monsters' abilities won't let you use them sometimes, but we want high strike right now. Now, we have flamethrower and a flare. We can add one of these to the supply, and then the other one we would just discard. So we're going to add the flare. And what the flare does, don't worry about the strike now that it's in the supply. All you worry about is the ability. So with the flare, it says choose 1 threat and play. The effects of that threat are ignored for the rest of the round. If we had chosen flamethrower, you'd see it's required to defeat a threat that has its life reduced to 0. So actually we're probably going to go ahead and go with the flamethrower here, hoping that we can kill. And so now that we've done that, that's step one of the turn, is setting up a card in supply, put one in our hand, and discard one. Then on this person's turn, they draw the top card. If it's a monster, somebody has to take that damage. See, it says 1 with the strike. So we got to choose who's going to take it. Now it has to be somebody that hasn't gone in this round. A round is when after everyone has done a turn. So we'll just go ahead and say Survivalist Dana's going to take the 1. And that would end her turn. Okay, so now it's Tracker Tanaka's turn, and he started with a 3 strike. Remember, in our hand we only care about the strike. So 1, 2, 3 cards off the deck. Let's take a look at what we got here. We got a food. We got a first aid kit, which is very helpful. We got a flare again. So we're probably going to go ahead and just take the first aid kit, put it in supply. And what the first aid kit does is it chooses one player to recover health. That's going to be helpful because we're going to start dying. We'll go ahead and, that's the flamethrower we already had. We can take this food, add it to our hand, and then we're going to discard this one. Okay? Now, since there's something out there now, we can attack it. And you see he's got 5 health, and we really do want to kill it because after this turn, the round's going to end, and you see at the end of each round, while this threat is in play, the last player to take a turn must discard a card or they lose a hit point. So every round while he's out there, that's going to happen at the end. So that's really not good. We don't want to discard cards. So what we're going to do, we're going to attack him for 3 and 3, and what you normally do is you tuck the cards like this because you don't necessarily have to kill him now, in case you wanted to keep some of this stuff. But what you would have to do, you'd have to do a killing blow. So 3 plus 3 is 6. That's higher than the 5. So now we can do a killing blow with, boom, the flamethrower. And what we would do is, boom, he's dead. So we take all these cards, flip him over. Now you see how we're building our deck. We just killed this guy. And eventually, when this deck runs out, we'll shuffle all these and put them over there. So you can start building up a better deck, because you start with decent stuff, but these monsters and things add a little bit more oomph to your abilities. So Tracker Tanaka did a good job. He's still got to reveal the top card to end his turn, and it's an event. It says pay a food. Well, we don't have any food in our supply. It has to be from your supply. Since we don't, we have to choose someone to take the damage. Survivalist Dana, already at 3. We're going to go ahead and say Tracker Tanaka. If we'd had the food, we'd just discard it to our discard pile, and we wouldn't take damage. But now we got to see here. Discard a flamethrower from the supply. No flamethrowers. Now it just says, instead we can discard the top card. So basically the events happen. You do what they say, pay the amount that you have to pay, and then they go to the discard pile. So you really need to get some food. There's also water in this that's required by events, so food or water. And you kind of want to have those, well, here, see, we put it in our hand instead. We should have had it out here and we wouldn't have lost that health. So that would end the round. And then we just continue on. We can choose Survivalist Dana, Tracker Tanaka. Usually what I do, so let's say Survivalist Dana had 1. I would probably lead on the next turn, next round I should say, with Dana, because I know I got a first aid kit. I can heal her, and the most any of these monsters will ever do is 1 damage, or the events, hopefully. The events are a little trickier and harder to estimate, but let's just draw 3 cards. We're leading with Dana, and we say we got food, flamethrowers, water. Pick 1 supply, hand, discard. We do that and draw the top card. Oop, and it's an event. It says pay a water, add this card directly to supply. So that's a good event. See, we get this would just go whoop into our supply. Really good. So this game's really cool because you're deck building in a different way than what you normally see in deck builders. If you played the game Friday, it's similar to that, but I like the addition of the supply that's shared by everybody. that allows for a little more strategy, and you definitely need strategy in this game in order to win, because it's one of the hardest games I've ever played. I like that once you've fought the card, battled the card, you can use it this way for different things. You can use it to strike, you can use it in the supply, or you can just discard it for later if you want to get it back into that deck quicker, things like that. But there's all sorts of really cool monsters in this game. The artwork is awesome. Raccoon dog, and every monster, I should say, is unique. And I believe every event's unique. Every card's unique. So there's a whole ton of variety in this game. You know, you're going to run into some terrible... Like this guy, you have to use an ice axe to kill him. Remember when we used the flamethrower to kill that last monster? Well, you'd only be able to use an ice axe, so you have to hope that you got an ice axe out in your supply. So you got to plan for things like this. And the more you play, the more you know the cards in the deck, and you'll be able to strategize a little better, because there's a good deal of luck with the card draw and things like that. But I like that in my games. I like having to manage luck. This game, I've played it a whole ton since I got it. It's super fast to set up. I've played it primarily solo with 2 explorers. I'm going to try with more explorers, because it's really not hard to manage all the hands, because everything's shared. You know, and you don't have more than usually 3 cards at most in your hand. At least I don't. Maybe that's why I've been losing. But like I said, just really awesome. The mechanics in this game are super sound. The theme is something I love. Artwork's great. It all fits in this little tiny tin, so you can take it anywhere you want. And then also, this is the start of a series of games. They're going to use the same mechanics. And the next one's the Amazon, coming out in December. So very excited for that. Very good job to the designers. This is one I'll be playing over and over and over. And go get it. Thanks for tuning in.